to feel
the power.
That's Colin, Crandall, and myself, Adam Roorda, over here with another episode of MMA Power Hour. Colin over there. I'm trying to get my fingers right.
Yeah, it's a mirror image. It's all screwed up.
So this episode is brought to you by Lith Token. Go on over to LITHTOKEN.IO. Give them a check and give them a look and see what they're up to. It is all about sustainability and ethics in business. Pretty exciting project going on. I am actually heading up a lot of the technology aspects. As you see, we're kind of cutting edge with that over here with the MMA Power Hour.
Yes.
I'm doing the same stuff with the token side of things, getting into the cryptocurrency world. We will be doing a lot of NFT stuff down the road, but it's not focused on collectibles. It's focused on actual technologies out there that people are not really pushing for right now, but we know that's what it's all going towards, and we're going to be one of the first to actually integrate NFTs into supply chain technologies, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But Colin, aside from that, man, oh man, boy, oh boy, I was waiting for you to finish it.
Can Hawaii get sticky? As Elvis Presley said in the documentary, and that is a fact. I think it was that's the way it is, or something like that. Absolutely. NFT, man, as far as what that says to me is, it's all nifty. And I definitely think it's nifty.
No, you know what? You know what? There's nifty NFTs, and absolutely not. It's totally something totally separate. And NFTs mean a non-fungible token. But let's get on over to some stuff going on real quick, because we've only got 2 minutes before our first guest.
Yes.
You were bringing up Kayla Harrison against Taylor Gordado.
Yeah, we had Taylor on our show. That's Kayla's going to give it. Kayla is tough. Taylor is going to give it her all. Odds makers are not giving her any chance. So you can get anywhere from plus 1,100 to plus 1,750 on some websites. So that means anywhere from 14 to 17 times your money back if Taylor wins. Only issue is Taylor is a natural featherweight, and this is a lightweight fight. And Kayla is absolutely a natural lightweight and a big one. But I think Taylor's not going to be wiped out quickly, and she does have a chance. But, man, I was going to say that. So real quick before we start with our first guest, California, it's crazy with the traffic and everyone back on the street and the gas prices and everything else. You know, I know a lot of people are considering maybe a move to California, but in an homage to our vice president, I will say, don't come. Don't come.
An homage to our vice president.
Don't come. You know, it really is better unless you have a ton of money and don't mind a ton of.
I think everybody's getting screwed over by gas in general, and every other thing that we can even talk about. Well, there's no point in getting all political right now. No. You know, let's go, Brandon.
That's what I was just. That was my second line. You stole it from me, Lion Fist. That's okay. I'm glad you said it, but yeah,
well, it's not my line or your line.
It's someone else made it up, but absolutely, let's go, Brandon. 100%. Those you get it. Okay, so
Brandon wouldn't be causing.
Oh no, Brandon loves to live in this great oligarch, this great far-left radical oligarchy.
No, I think Biden needs to keep up with Brandon a little bit. There would be no supply chain issues. Brandon wouldn't be causing that. So.
That is true.
Anyway,
that is true.
Let's get into our first guest here.
Yes, get ready. Let's do it.
Looks like he is actually ready.
Should be, yeah.
Let's see. It's Mr. Jacob for our first guest, correct?
Yeah, Jacob's.
And I don't know if he's on. It doesn't look like he's online, actually. I thought... No, he's not.
Let me see, okay, because he really, I think we may be the only source that he is doing a Skype connection with, and
he always forgets.
That or he may not know what the login or something, and you know,
it happens every time with him. It's fun. I love it.
He just doesn't do it much. Just tried to call you on Skype, and it doesn't look like you're on as of yet. Period.
Yeah, well, we're usually 1 or 2 minutes behind, so he's probably these guys are going to be behind again.
That could be it. Anyway, while we're waiting, and he'll get on, and can't wait to talk to him. So much great stuff out there. But yeah, it was that was awesome. That was the line, a big "Let's go, Brandon." I still love that "Don't come," because you know what the funny thing is, and again, I'm not trying to be political, but it just is what it is. For the election stumping and message for the candidacy, Yes, everyone come here. We want people to come here. We're dying for you to come here from any country. Bring us your poor, you're desperate, and you're unwashed, or whatever the old saying was. And then all of a sudden, 6 months into being the president, don't come. Don't come. Don't come here. It's like, okay, there we go. That's just a 180-degree flip, but it is what it is. Anyway, so hopefully we're gonna. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the motto. Let's go, Brandon. Love the shirts. Everyone's making one pretty much. Like 800 versions of Let's Go Brandon. Okay.
We're not supposed to say that now. It's I guess.
Is that out now? You can't even say Let's Go Brandon.
I don't know which company it is, but there's oh no, it's not a company. It's in Canada. You can't say that. There's different arms of the government that are actually saying that it's a hate crime.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye free speech. It looks like.
No, we don't operate that way here in the United States.
No, they're not going to stay. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to do that. Although it is getting scary. It is getting kind of scary. It's kind of like follow the narrative that we want you to follow, or. Anyway, so let me see. So we try.
We said no politics, and we go.
That's it. All of a sudden,
in.
Yeah, exactly. We just go right down that slope. Well,
whatever. Let's just go ahead and drive directly in oncoming traffic. Make sure there's a whole bunch of 18-wheelers there coming directly at us.
Uncle Colin can't advise that. Lion Fist.
Let's just drive straight into it, Colin, and go straight into the politics.
There we go. I see what you're saying, because we wouldn't want to actually literally mean for anyone to drive right into traffic.
No, of course not.
But okay, trying to figure it out. It's been a while, he said. Okay. No problem. We'll hang here with you, and if you want to Skype call us when you get it figured out, that would be cool, or we'll try you in a few minutes.
It's Stitch. It's okay.
Yeah, he's a legend, and like I said, for him to only pretty much be doing Skype to accommodate us, that's huge, because he's literally, everyone wants to.
Well, we're gonna be switching over to just Zoom for everybody, so that way it's gonna be a lot easier.
There you go.
So we told you all last week, if you were tuning in, that we were gonna be in a new studio this week. Unfortunately, I had to make a few reaccommodations. We do have an amazing studio actually that we are getting set up with here in East Hollywood, and it is called Third Wheel Productions. If you want to check them out, they have a lot of great stuff going on. They'll be helping us out with both audio and video side of things. So audio podcasting will be picking up. You'll be able to check us out on iTunes and Spotify.
Love
and
it.
Pretty much everywhere else it's going to be handled.
Yeah.
So that way it's not all put on me. So we are making a major transition and shift. Everything is going to pick up here. And Colin and I have not really discussed with everybody out there yet, but we are working on a cable show out of this. We are partnering up with an amazing guy that's a legend in his own right in fight promotion with kickboxing.
Yes.
And we will be working with him to get on cable television with his brand new 24/7 network. And we will
combat sports, combat sports.
Of combat sports, and we'll be one of the shows over there. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but we are getting teed up and prepared for that. So get ready. We will be the #1 source for all MMA things. And not that we aren't already to you guys, but actually on paper with all the numbers, it will be coming that way real fast.
Absolutely. So he's asking what number to call us. It's actually not a number, but we'll try you right now again, and it should come through as. Before you do it, let me tell him what it's going to come through as here. Okay, and we don't announce this on the air. Okay, and all right. Okay, all right. You want to try him?
He's not online yet.
Okay. While we're waiting, a funny thing, Adam, has this happened to you yet? I had a friend of mine tell me that someone called him in the middle of the night through Facebook telephone. Did you realize? I mean, obviously you know this. Has this happened to you yet, Adam, where a random number calls you through Facebook and you pick it up and it's just some guy saying, yeah, I've seen you. Listen, I got to tell you what I think of this and that. I mean, has that ever happened, or have you ever taken a random call?
Oh, there he is. I was calling the wrong one. That's my fault.
No problem. Has that ever happened? You ever taken?
Oh, no, I've taken a random call with somebody before.
Funny, but not often.
I was half naked. So,
that's hilarious.
Actually, I wasn't even half naked, but I made them pay the price for it, and they got to see my hairy ass.
There we go. That's hilarious.
So here we go.
Well, so my image is frozen, though.
Well, I'll fix that.
There we go.
Hey, hello, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks. All good, Stitch. Good to see you. All we need you to do is hit that video button. It's the icon.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get my organized.
No problem, brother. I appreciate you. There you are. Fantastic. You don't see us, but as long as you're in the square, as always, you're good. So we
Okay.
are live. I appreciate you, brother. Yep, we're good. And I'm going to give you a proper intro. Ladies and gentlemen, super happy and excited to have this guest back on the show. One of the most respected men in the entire world of combat sports. There isn't anything he hasn't done. He's been a fighter in combat sports. He's a Cutman in all the combat sports, kickboxing, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle fighting. The man is an author, an actor, producer, commentator, and just one of the most amazing guys in our sport and all combat sports. We're talking about Mr. Jacob Stitch Duran. Welcome back to the show, Stitch.
Hey, I told you we had a lot of stuff to talk about, man, so it's good to have me back on.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, man. I really do, because there really is a lot to talk about, and so much that's been going on in MMA, and then stuff that's going on with you. I can't wait to hear. Maybe we'll, you know what? Let's do the reverse. Let's start out with you, because I know that before the pandemic, you had got a project going based on your book. From the fields to the garden, and then I think you have 2 books of that title, or just the one?
No, 2, yeah, part 1 and part 2, because, you know, when I wrote the first one, people were so excited about it, they asked for the second one, and actually I still had stories to tell, and one of them was my departure from the UFC. So that's it's just a continuation.
Excellent. And then based on those 2 books, the documentary movie From the Fields to the Garden, the concept was you came up with the concept before the pandemic, and the pandemic kind of got in the way, but I believe you're making progress, and that's kind of back on track, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's based off the book From the Field to the to the Garden. They contacted me, and kind of like a week after, excuse me, about a week after, I get a call that Triple G is fighting, of all places, Madison Square Garden. So they got their equipment. We went up there and had all access, and we got that footage. And then the COVID kicked in, and we were locked down for a while. And we're back in action now. So we've interviewed Tyson Fury and MMA, Cain Velasquez, Javier Mendez, Virgil Hunter. We're working with Andre Ward and Triple G. And so, you know, went back home to my hometown. So, you know, filming wise, they're about 90% complete. You know, we want to get Michael B. Jordan also. So it's coming along good, man. I'm looking forward to 2022. It should be a good time for it to come out.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not that knowledgeable of some of our better actors today. Years ago, when I was younger, I paid more attention. I still do now, but I think a lot of the country feels that Michael B. Jordan is a relative of the basketball superstar Michael Jordan, but he is not, I guess, or is he? Which is the truth?
No, not at all. That's why Michael B. He goes with a B also. Michael B. Jordan is the actor, and he's A.N. and Michael Jordan is O.N. on the last name.
Interesting. Okay, because I know Michael Jordan, the basketball player, has some kids. Do you know? Is there a Michael Jordan Jr. that's the basketball player's son?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know Michael B. Jordan don't have any kids.
Nope,
so,
nope, that's
so
true.
That's a good thing.
A very good guy, absolutely though, and that should be great. So, what's the scheduled completion or wrap for the film, and then any thoughts about when we might see it and where it would be released?
Yeah, they're pretty much, like I said, they're pretty much done with the filming, and obviously they've gotten some. We still got to get a little bit of B footage, especially, you know, my life here in Las Vegas and interviewing my family. But I think the first quarter of 2022 will be completely done, and should be going out to market. But, you know, they're looking at some pretty high-end productions. So we'll see where it goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, because there's so many great outlets. It could go to theaters, it could go to HBO, Showtime, it could go to Netflix. Would you have any preference? In fact, let me ask, which do you watch most out of those cable, or is that going to cause problems? I'm sure it wouldn't. Which of those? No. What do you watch most out of all those?
I think their goal are the Netflix and, you know, the higher end networks that definitely show, you know, documentaries and sports. But I like them all. You know, how can I say one over the other? So, you know, I'm just blessed to have the opportunity, you know, for them to present it to certain networks. So we'll see, man. It's either way, it's going to be good, and either way, it's just more of accomplishment of signature of my career.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's really the main thing, is that somebody thought about me, calling enough for them to create a documentary.
Absolutely. Well, it's just, you know, fantastic. I know the books have been amazing sellers, and there's just so much history and so much that you have to talk about. I mean, it really is amazing. Like, if anyone wanted to have a career that was just star-studded, full of some of the most talented people in the world, including yourself, you know, you had that. I mean, how many miles have you flown, man? It's got to be like in the 100,000 something.
Yeah, I've kind of been all over the world. You know, I think the only continent I haven't been to is obviously Antarctica, but Africa. You know, I haven't been there, but you know, been everywhere. And yeah, you know, when security and TSA know you at airports, you know you've been around for a while.
Absolutely.
And, but I'm not complaining. You know, I was in Atlanta last weekend and with Top Rank, and week before I was in San Diego, and this week I'll be in New York, and week after I'll be here in Vegas. And then I think I'll be going to Dubai November the 20th. And then, you know, staying busy. So
very cool.
I can't complain.
Very cool. And you were in the corner of Tyson Fury, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was in the corner of Tyson Fury, and that was, you know, that was a great weekend for all of us. You know, the energy that was built up, and then the energy that was happening during the fights. You know, Deontay Wilder getting knocked down 3 times and Tyson Fury twice in the same round, you know, kind of brought a lot of excitement to the fans and, you know, even the teams, the guys who are working the corners. I had to keep my composure because it was such a tough fight.
Without a doubt. Now, many people that have been watching fights for only 5 years or 10 years or a couple years cite this as the greatest heavyweight fight they've ever seen. But these people have watched nowhere near as many heavyweight fights as you've watched and been in the corner of. Where would you say this one ranks, if you have a top 10 that you've ever thought of, or just in your mind of heavyweight fights that you've been in the corner of? I guess it'd be 2 questions. Where does this rank as far as top 10 maybe of heavyweight fights where you've been in the corner of one of the fighters, and where does this rank in top 10 heavyweight fights that you've watched?
Well, yeah, working the corners, you know, I was always telling people until Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder, it was the Vladimir Klitschko-Anthony Joshua fight. 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium in England, and, you know, it turned out to be a Rocky type of movie. And, you know, and a lot of the writers were calling it the fight of the decade, right? Well, along comes Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder that I think kind of superseded that one. Just the excitement factor that they had. You know, the fans were on their feet going crazy, and, you know, the victory and everything. So those are the top 2. When it comes to big heavyweight fights, there hasn't really been a whole lot of them where I could say, wow, man, that was obviously, you know, a great fight. You know, Mike Tyson would knock his guys out. Yep. So you would look at Mike Tyson and see him as a guy you always want to see fight. You know, but when it came to actually throwing blows and having a heavyweight fight like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, it's going to be a long time before somebody even comes close to beating them on being the fight of the decade.
I would agree. How do you think Usyk does against Fury?
I think, you know, Usyk is solid. I've known Usyk for many years. You know, he came through the channels of the Klitschkos and what have you not, but he's tough. But once again, Fury is so much bigger. And like I told Tyson Fury, you know, your style of fighting is as Bruce Lee would say, it's like water. You know, it's very, very fluid and very soft. And if you could read how to beat Tyson Fury, then at least you got a check mark under accomplishments. But that's the thing, you know, Usyk fighting Anthony Joshua was a lot easier because technique-wise, he was pretty fundamental on his basic fundamentals. So I think Usyk being a tough fighter, he could read right through it.
Absolutely. Usyk definitely is a tough guy. That should be interesting. So, yeah, let's get on to some other stuff. One of the things that I know I really wanted your opinion on, and I know people would be interested in, is when the fighter died a month or so after the BKFC fight, Bare Knuckles Fighting Championship. It's a tragedy. I think that was the first fighter, and they've had, I think, a couple hundred fights so far under the BKFC banner. And this is the first time anyone has died as a result of their injuries. Extremely unfortunate. And the kind of the debate came when they asked Dana White's opinion, and Dana's a company man, with the UFC,
Sure.
and his interest is to promote the UFC, and he's not obligated to say he doesn't like other sports, but he indeed doesn't like bare knuckles fighting. He kind of pointed out that this is crazy, this and that, but more important than that, he said that that the medicals that they force people to take and to get clearance from in the UFC, and the money to make sure all those medicals are done and paid for, and to the highest level of medical integrity and professionalism, is far beyond what other companies do. And I think he kind of alluded to the fact that he would doubt that the BKFC is doing anything near what the UFC does, and just kind of left it at that. So my question to you is, there's some people that are saying, how did bare knuckles fighting even come back? And I guess in light of this death, they're kind of jumping on the bandwagon saying, what the hell, how did this get by us? How could this have come back? It was supposedly too dangerous for 100 years, more than 100 years. The last bare knuckles, I think, was 1892, and then the boxing with the Marquess of Queensberry with gloves issued in by the first heavyweight champion John L. Sullivan. So 120, I think it was about 125 years without bare knuckles being allowed, and then it came back. And so, what's your thought as far as the danger that it presents, and then maybe even more importantly, the medicals? Is there something to it? Are some of these organizations that don't have the budget of the UFC actually letting fighters who wouldn't pass UFC medicals get into their organization just because of money? And I'm not holding UFC as the be all end all, but just based on what Dana said, what are your thoughts on all of that, and then what kind of medicals these other organizations are using, whether they're other MMA companies or bare knuckle boxing companies, or even regular boxing?
It's super questions, man, and then, well, let's get down into the nitty gritty on that. I've worked the bare knuckle fights with Dave Feldman, and as a person that's looking after the fighters, he's doing everything he can within the position that he's in.
Yeah.
Of course, bare knuckle fighting is a lot younger and economically than what the UFC has put together.
Yeah.
But the UFC has done a tremendous job, no doubt about it. They always go after the maximum, but in the same token now, when it comes to techniques and all that, and this kid that passed away, my condolences to the family and all that.
Yeah.
But I looked at the way he fell, and it looked like to me, and I'd have to see it again, but it's like he fell on top of his head. On the top of his head, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, the kind of shots and the kind of injuries that these guys are getting in our sport, or in the sport of bare knuckle fights, Colin, is what they call the short-term injuries, which are the cuts and the broken hands and the repairable things. Going into the mixed martial arts, and primarily the UFC, because they're the ones that are the leaders of all. One technique I don't like is, when a guy knocks a guy out, when he drops him and the guy falls back and his head hits the canvas and he's out, the guys could still jump on them and pummel them.
Yeah.
If you remember Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson.
Yep.
When he had Mike Bisping. Well, to me is a very, very deadly technique, and I'm surprised there hasn't been any long-term damage coming from those. I think that should be banned.
Yeah.
I think that there's no need, because a fighter knows when he knocks a fighter out.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
And for them to have that 1,001, 1,002, maybe 1,003 seconds to jump on him and hit him when he's defenseless and his head against the mat, that to me, I think we don't need that situation right there. But one thing I have noticed with MMA guys that I worked with earlier in their career, and when I was with the UFC, and you speak to some of these guys now, and the slurring of the speech is evident. Signs of the dementia are evident. So
dementia,
yeah, you could do all the safety precautions you want, you could have all these programs you want, but it's a hurt business.
Yeah. Without a doubt, without a doubt. And you make a good point. You remember like Mark Hunt and some of these other guys have the walk-off knockout where they know the guy's out, and a lot of people would kind of comment on how cool that was, but I think also it was very compassionate. As well, yes. I think that's kind of what, I don't think the guys are necessarily trying to look that cool. They just realize that they wouldn't want someone pouncing on them when they're out. And that does bring up a good question, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in MMA now, the way it stands, I think fighters are told, don't back off no matter what you just did to your opponent unless the referee backs you off. I guess they're not told they can't, but I think they're told, don't think you've won until the referee pushes you away, making sure you won. And I think that makes a lot of fighters feel that they need to go in, they have to go in and pounce on the other guy. I think some of it may be just the bad blood or the adrenaline, or what do you think? Do you think that a lot of fighters are genuinely like feeling like they're doing what they've been instructed to do, or do you think they just don't want to take any chances? Do you think it's out of mean-spiritedness, or do you think they can't tell or somehow didn't see that the guy's head bounced off the ground? What do you think leads to the fact that it seems like 80% of the time a guy will do what you said isn't really a very safe thing and go and dive in on a guy that he just knocked pretty much cold?
Yeah, well, at that point, that's not even necessary because the guy's already been defeated. But, that point of keeping the attack going until the referee breaks you down or breaks it up, that's been a long time practice that fighters have done. Yeah. Don't stop until the referee stops the fight.
Yeah.
But, and I can see on the stand-up and, I can see on the grappling, but yeah, that one thing when like Mark Hunt, you knock a guy out with one shot, he's out.
Right.
So why would you want to go out there and pounce on him, knowing that he's defenseless and you have to depend on the referee, but the referee's not always in position for that 1001,
right.
1002 attack.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So,
right.
You got to use your own judgment, and if you do a Mark Hunt, then, you should automatically be declared the winner.
I like that if you walk away. But then, as you know, there were a couple cases, like remember Cyborg in Strikeforce, where she walked away celebrating, and the referee would say, "What are you doing? Get back in here. The fight's not over." Now, so what kind of rule could we implement? Because fighters probably might try to play it that way. If a rule is put in that it looks like you've knocked a guy cold, and if you walk away and don't pounce on him, you're declared the winner. Some fighters are probably going to start walking away, even though they didn't really quite knock the guy cold. How do you think we can get around that? What kind of rule could we put in, do you think, that might make the fighter more safe?
Well, it would be the referee and the referee only. At that point, when the referee sees that the guy is hit to the point where he's falling back and his eyes are curled, behind his head, at that time, he ought to yell a reference point, would mean the fight is over.
Right.
Whatever that point be,
right.
Done or knockout or, whatever.
Right.
And it gives that guy, the fighter that's still active, gives him that time to renegotiate to see if he wants to continue and pound on him. But yeah, I think, a lot of it is that the referee has to help these guys that can't help themselves.
Right. Absolutely. Good point. Speaking of which, while we're on a similar subject, we see these fights that there's a foul. And MMA with the fingers, that's still a problem. I really like the Bellator gloves where the fingers have to go down when they're in the glove. I guess the UFC, they're just not wanting to do that. No rip on the UFC, but they just want to have the gloves where your fingers can go like that. But the referees are warning people when someone's got a hand up and fingers like that, fingers down. And stuff still happens, but even more than that, someone kneeing someone when they're down and they can't tell that they're down, I think it is a problem. And then basically asking the fighter if you can continue. I mean, I guess there's really no way around that. The funny thing is this, I think when the fighter who's been fouled is asked if they can continue, they would like to know what their options are. And I think in most fights, the referee won't tell them what the result is going to be. But I think I remember one fight not too long ago where the fighter said, well, what happens if I can't? And the referee said, well, you'll be declared the winner on a foul. And then the fighter thought about it and said, okay, I can't continue. And so what do you think about that? Obviously, I don't think the referee should, and I think rarely does the referee tell them, but it's kind of like a weird situation when that happens. Is there any way that can be improved upon, you feel?
Well, the team, the coaches, when the referee gives the instructions, it's important for the teams to know the actual rules. I use that to our advantage also when I worked the first fight with Vladimir Klitschko, when he just come back from losing his world title in his first fight back, and he fought Deverell Williamson, and he got dropped, but he was still ahead, and he gets an unintentional headbutt right here and just kind of slices him open, and I knew he was winning the fight, and the best time for him to have ended the fight was right then and there because of what happened. It was an unintentional headbutt. If it goes, under the 4 rounds, then it goes to over 4 rounds, it goes to the scorecard.
Right.
And it was in the 5th round, and I told Vladimir and Vitaly, I said, look, you got a back cut, you're winning the fight, I'm going to have the doctor stop the fight. So when the doctor came and asked me what I thought, I literally went like this and opened up the cut and told him it was a pretty bad cut, and they stopped it and went to the scorecards, and he won and ended up being the heavyweight champ of the world for like 10 years.
Yep, absolutely.
But you have to know, and that's why it's important to have a good team with you, Colin.
Yeah.
It's important to know all the rules and regulations and use them. That's what they're for. But first and foremost is the safety of the fighters.
Yeah, without a doubt, that is important. Do you know, or do you remember? And I actually didn't know this early on, and we both have been watching the UFC from the beginning, and you obviously were involved in it. I never was personally, except for as media. But I only learned a few years ago that in UFC number 2, the first fight that Big John McCarthy reffed the fight, that Rorion Gracie told him, you can't stop the fight. And I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no. It's, if you notice, if you go back and watch UFC 2, he was frequently yelling at the corners saying, watch your fighter. He kept yelling at various corners saying, watch your fighter, watch your fighter. And some guys got really smashed in that event. And then apparently afterward, or it's actually shown that afterward, he let Rorion Gracie know, I'm never gonna referee again with a rule like I can't stop the fight. Because it's actually kind of insane. I mean, thank God no one was hurt even worse than they were. But and I understand Horion's thoughts were he wanted this to be valet tudo. He wanted this to be anything goes fighting, and like it's out in the street. And out in the street, no one's going to stop the fight unless your friend's there to help you, But yeah, that was something that I had never known, that he was not allowed to fight. He was not allowed to stop the fight in UFC 2. But yeah, referees are important. One of the things that I think is interesting, and I guess this is important, is in traditional boxing, you will still get some referees that are really small, older guys that may be able to do something if things got tough, but might not be if the fighter's 100 pounds heavier than them in there. Whereas in MMA, they tend to have some big, strong, fairly young guys in there as the referee. And then I think maybe bare knuckles a little bit more. Is that something that you think is needed? Do you think eventually we're going to get some bigger, younger guys to referee boxing? Or is that not needed in boxing? It's kind of interesting how it's a very big difference between a boxing referee and an MMA referee.
I never looked at it that way. All the years I've been fighting, that's the first time anybody ever brought that up. But now, you look at the Mills Lanes type of guys,
right.
When he fought the big fights, the Mike Tyson Holyfield fight, for example. He's dealing with these big guys, but, if you've been in the game, you know how to handle these guys. So I don't think size is going to be a difference as much as having control of the fight.
Yeah.
I think it's important for any ref, whether you're female or male, whether you're big or tall or small, it's having control of the fight is what makes you a good ref.
Absolutely. Are there any events or situations that have happened recently in MMA or in bare knuckles fighting, other than what we just discussed with the death, that has caught your attention? I mean, obviously we had the craziness with the weight difference with Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori. Did you have a thought on that, or is there anything else that's interesting that you've seen that's made you think as far as unusual events in combat sports?
Yeah, well, unusual events, but you're talking about techniques and that. I don't remember what fight it was. I didn't see it, but I remember reading about it where one of the fighters, got that. John Jones is very good at throwing that side kick to the kneecap.
Yes.
Right. And busting up. I don't think we need that.
Yeah. That's the oblique kick.
It's almost impossible to defend, and the damage is long term.
Yeah.
For these fighters, and they're athletes, and it's not necessary. I think that, along with the ground and pound, I think those two should be omitted from all MMA sports.
Gotcha. And I want to just clarify what you're saying. The first, and I forget that fight, but it was only like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Yeah. He just really came in with it. It didn't even seem like it was that hard, but he just essentially stepped on top of his thigh right near the knee, and then probably dislocated the guy's knee. Yeah, I agree. I don't know anyone that wants that. And it's funny. It seems like a lot of guys don't throw that, but sometimes they try. John Jones did a lot, but yeah, I would agree that should be out. Be curious to see what anyone watching thinks, but yeah, the oblique click that all it's going to do is damage your knee badly if it lands, and you could get the victory, but at what cost? The second thing, just to clarify what you're saying on the ground and pound, is that I know definitely the point you made is a ground and pound after you've just kind of landed the kill shot where you've turned out the lights for your opponent, we know you don't want. But are you also saying that even if you're on the ground with someone who you just took down and you didn't necessarily hit with a hard shot, would you not want ground and pound then as well, or only you're saying you wouldn't want it if someone's knocked someone almost cold and then gets on top of them?
These fighters have to be a little bit more fighter friendly. I mean, that's kind of a crazy thing to do, when you're fighting each other, but at least have the respect for the fighters. When the guy's knocked out, when you crack them and you feel it in your hand all the way to your shoulder, and you got a solid shot, and you see him going back and his head slams on the canvas. At that point, you need to accept that, you knocked him out and there's no further damage that needs to be applied to this young guy, especially if he's defenseless. Yeah. I think at that point, no, the ground and pound, that's part of the techniques. The guys, I've seen many guys fight themselves out of the ground and pound. So at that point, they're still understanding what's happening, and they're defending themselves and getting hit and going offense. So at that point, it's a little different. Absolutely. But when you're knocked out, you're defenseless.
I agree 100%, and I support that 100%. I'd like to see a rule like that put in. Well, Stitch, we only have 1 minute left with you. Got to let you get back to your evening, but in that last 1 minute, I know we're going to find out somewhere in the next few months where we can see the documentary based on your books and the story of your life from the fields to the garden, and can't wait to see that. If people do want to buy your books from the fields to the garden, the original and part 2, where can they get those?
Amazon.com turned out to be a sports biography, a top seller. So pick it up. It's a fun book, and also the fights I did Saturday with Top Rank in Atlanta. I got to see Michael B. Jordan, and we're going to be filming Creed 3 starting in January, and I think I report to Atlanta February the 2nd. So I'm looking forward to being part of that trilogy with Michael B. Jordan, and being what Mick was to Rocky, Stitch is to Adonis. So I'm really stoked about going up to Atlanta and spending some time there.
I love it. I can't wait to see it, man. It's always great to see you. By you being in a film, man, it really legitimizes these films to combat sports fan, even with people like Sylvester Stallone, and he's as legit as an actor that can be. But for you being in there, it really brings the realism to it, man. And I think couldn't have been anyone better to be like what Mickey was to Rocky, Stitch Duran is to Adonis. And so can't wait to see it. Stitch, I really appreciate you so much, man. It means a lot to me that you jump on and talk to me, and it's always a pleasure. I learn something new from you all the time, and it's a real treat talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us here again, my friend.
No, it's always been a pleasure. Let me just close by saying it. I used to co-host a radio show here with Nick Ward called the 13th round in Las Vegas. And Emmanuel Stewart, every time I called him for an interview, he never turned me down. So, that's a practice I've always wanted to do, is respect journalists as well as fighters. So thanks for having me on again.
You're welcome. My pleasure, my friend. Have a great night.
Cover this.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, that was Jacob Stitch Duran. I think our next guest calling us or something?
He is sending us a message saying, "Are you ready?"
Perfect.
Are you ready? Yeah, we're going to be going into our next guest, everybody.
Let's do it.
While we're doing
Stitch.
that, yeah, thank you, Stitch. Always, thank you.
Always great interview. Really appreciate him.
Everybody that's tuning in for the first time, a second time, last time, I'm going to throw out a little reminder to you. Go ahead and head on over to all of our social media. It's at MMA Power Hour. Also, head on over to our website, MMAPowerHour.com, and give us all the love that you can, all the likes, comments, shares, tweets, retweets, any type of interaction and engagement we always appreciate. So thank you so very much for that. And also make sure to hit up lithtoken.io. That is LITHTOKEN.io.
Absolutely great stuff, that Lith token, man. You won't regret it. Thank you. Hi to Scott Burke. Welcome back, brother. Great to see you. And Fergie, Steve, boss. And there is Chris Daukus. Are you there, my friend?
Yes, I am here. How are you, sir?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Excellent. All we want to make sure you do is hit that video button, which should be below you, which is an icon that looks like an old movie camera with a cross. There you go. And as long as you see yourself, good. We got video. You're not seeing us, but we're seeing you here, and we appreciate you. We're live. Let's give you a proper introduction. All right, ladies and gentlemen, super excited to have this next guest back on our show. This is a top 10 UFC heavyweight, part of the exciting Daukus brothers team out of Martinez BJJ in Philly. The man has got an amazing fight coming up against the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. We are talking about none other than Mr. Christopher Daukus. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Now, do you like to go by Chris or Christopher, one more than the other, or is either one okay?
No, either one's okay. Just generally go by Chris, so that works for me.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you a lot, Chris. And I know you had a great victory in your last fight, and then the week later you were in the corner with your brother Kyle. Man, that fight was unusual. Had to be frustrating for you guys, because Kyle looks like he won that fight. But then with the clash of heads, I mean, I'm sure Kyle was frustrated. Were you guys able to put that out of your head the next day, or has that still been kind of bothering both of you guys since then?
No, yeah, it's been, it's just, it sucks. It's the big talking point that's that's surrounding, my brother and Kevin Holland at this point. I think it'll be, a part of the storyline for both of the fighters until either A, they fight again and settle it, or B, they get new fights. So, I kind of really only think that those are the two options. I mean, whenever you're talking about my brother or Kevin, that's pretty much what's going to come up. So, yeah, we'll see what the future holds coming up in a couple weeks. So it'll be exciting.
Definitely. I thought that fight had been scheduled. Was it, and then it fell off, or am I just imagining things?
No. Yeah. They scheduled it for November 13th. Yeah.
And so it is set, or did it fall off? Oh, it's set. Right? It's set.
Yeah. It's as far as I know, it's still going on for November 13th. Yeah,
excellent. So. Okay, cool. So that's coming soon, and that's going to be about a month before your fight. Will you be there in Kyle's corner?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
Every time. Yep.
And so, being that your fight will be a month and away, you're probably not going to go to any buffets or anything in Vegas if they still don't have such a thing.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, it would be awesome to, but no. I mean, no. I gotta stay disciplined and everything leading up to the fight. So I'll just be eating my, whatever I'm eating out there. So.
Makes sense. Now, a lot of people looking at that fight real quick, your brother's fight with Kevin Holland, say that here's the chance for Holland to make some changes to surprise the Daukus camp. And a lot of people are thinking that that he's going to work on his wrestling like crazy. He's going to give a different look to your brother, and your brother's not going to expect anything at all except for the exact same Kevin Holland. I don't think you guys are that dumb, though. I think you guys probably are prepared for anything. The odds are like a pick'em. A couple books have it as a pick'em. But I'm not asking you to give away any secrets, but I mean, essentially, is there anything that Kyle needs to change? It looks like, and I don't want to go on record as giving my opinion, because that's not what it's about. I'm a media guy here. I gotta remain neutral. But does Kyle need to do anything different, do you think, or are you guys prepared for any weird changes in Holland? Can he make any weird changes that he's really much better at in 2 months, or what do you think?
I honestly don't think so. Kyle's a high IQ fighter. Out of the two of us, he's definitely the smarter fighter in a lot of ways.
Cool.
It doesn't train specific for one fighter. He's always looking to improve his own skill set. And if you look back at the first fight between them, he was pretty damn dominant for, as long as that fight lasted. I think Kevin only landed one right hand, and the rest of the strikes that were counted were probably up against the cage. They were smacks and foot stomps. So, if you're looking at that fight as a blueprint, or as how this next fight's going to go, it looks really bad for Holland. I mean, he was getting dominated against the cage in the striking exchanges.
Yep.
And then, after the head clash, he even, on the ground, and he even got submitted. There's not many people who can say in the UFC that they submitted Kevin Holland. So we'll see how this next one goes.
Absolutely. Now, if it turns out to be a jiu-jitsu match to some extent, as a lot of MMA fights are, I know Kevin Holland's team is going to be thinking, well, they think they've seen our jits, but they only saw our jits when we were seeing stars, and Tweety birds going around our head. I'm sure Kyle is aware of that if it came down to no clash of heads, Kevin Holland's jiu-jitsu is pretty good. I'm sure you guys are ready for that, right?
Yeah. We don't take anyone lightly. I think Kevin Holland's a black belt in the Travis Lutter, and Travis Lutter is no joke. So it's, we don't take anyone lightly, especially those who are at the UFC level. Yeah. And, Kevin, even if he was recovered or not recovered, he defended two chokes, and my brother was attempting on him before my brother sunk in the rear naked choke. So, we're more than ready wherever this fight's going to go for Kyle. So I'm just really excited for it to happen.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I can't wait to see it. I know you guys are there for each other. So question for you. You guys are both 6'3", but he fights at 185 and you fight at about 230. Was that always the case? Do one of you have more of the genetics of one side of your family than the other? Or did you grow up and you used to be a similar weight?
No, I mean, we were a similar weight till I think I was like 10 years old, and then I just got real fat. So yeah. I used to be close to 300 pounds. I cleaned up everything.
Oh wow.
I was at like 300 pounds for like, I'd say like 10 years, close to 10 years. I was up there.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Kyle started, he was getting older. He was up in weight there, but he definitely wasn't 300 pounds. He was probably over, I think like 250 or something. He was right there.
Gotcha.
So he cleaned everything up, cleaned up his diet, got down to 185, found success at 185. He feels comfortable fighting at 185. I feel comfortable fighting at heavyweight. I don't have to go on any kind of crazy strict diet. Yep. Don't have to cut weight. So that's really good. I found a lot of success clearly. I'm fighting in the UFC at the heavyweight division, ranked number 7, so I'm not going to change anything.
Nope.
But both parts of our family, both sides, mom and dad's side are pretty big. My dad's like 6'8". He's 300 pounds, 310.
Wow.
So
big dad.
We come from a good stock. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very cool, man. Over there in Philly, it helps to be big because Philly's a tough area. Yeah. He has some, one of my brothers is like 6'5.5", and he's not that heavy, but always 200 something. And that size could make a difference. Once in a while, if someone was arguing with me and my other brother, he would stand up from his chair, and the guys would say, never mind, forget it, So it's always good. Always good to have a big little brother. But you guys are both big, which is a good thing. So interesting, man. Derek Lewis. So Derek Lewis is a guy that's been heavier. He probably at some point was walking around, like you said, you were at your heaviest 300. He's not that big anymore, but you're thinking maybe he cuts a little bit to make heavyweight. You don't know. Some people say he cuts 10 or 20 pounds. Some people say he's not cutting anything. Either way, he's going to be anywhere from like 265 on fight day to 280 something. Do you not that you want to give away your secrets, but if you're open to it, what are your plans as far as what your weight might be for that fight?
My weight, My weight right now is like 235, 240. Semi cleaning up my diet still. I'm right in the camp again, so I'll splurge every once in a while. I'll have like a slice of pizza or something like that. But once it gets a little closer to the fight camp, like, probably like 6 weeks out, 7 weeks out, I'm done all that stuff. I'll drop another, 10 pounds. I'll get down to 230. So yeah, I'll probably be weighing in again like I did before, like 230, 231. I'm not going to change anything.
Right.
I fought bigger guys. I mean, Parker Porter, my UFC debut, I was heavier, and Parker had a cut to make 265, and he walked into the cage. I think it was like 285, close to 290.
Yeah.
Derek Lewis is a big guy. I'm expecting him to be cutting weight to make 265. He's been doing it in the past, but then he says that he's going to clean his diet up and he's going to clean everything up so he's not stressing about the weight cut. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it really doesn't make a difference to me whether he's 255 pounds or 265 pounds weighing in, or, he's 285 come fight night. It doesn't matter to me.
Absolutely. And definitely, I know you're down for it. Every fight you're in the UFC has gone exactly the way you want it for the most part, with the stoppage. Yeah. And this is definitely going to be the highest profile fight you will have participated in. I think he's ranked a couple spots ahead of you. But both in the top 10. One of our great correspondents, Francesca Dominique, wanted me to ask you, do you ever look at his social media, Instagram, to see some of the funny stuff he does and says, and do you get anything from that? Are you getting an idea who this guy is, and what do you think of him as far as from what you've seen, or do you look at his stuff?
As far as Derek Lewis as an individual and as a person, I have no problem with Derek Lewis. I think he's funny. Even before I got into the UFC, I always enjoyed everything that he did. The social media posts and he's okay type thing that he does on Instagram and all that. Yep. I got people sending me stuff and videos, and I'm totally fine with it. I enjoyed Derek Lewis. I enjoyed Derek Lewis, the entertainer and the fighter. So it's going to be fun. But when it comes down to it, I'm ready to throw down. So I'll have no problem punching Derek in the face. Yeah,
absolutely. It should be a really good fight. Obviously, if the pattern continues, of a stoppage. In fact, thinking about that, he's a kind of a finisher as well for the most part, right? So I know that people who are looking to wager on the fight are probably going to look and say, I wonder what the odds are that the fight won't go the distance. And you're probably gonna have to bet $500 to win 100 or something like that. Crazy, yeah. You know what I mean? So but I think obviously cardio wise, you both want to be prepared, and I know you are. It seems kind of like an old school from way back in the day, Ali Frazier type of a matchup. The only because Ali also had finishing power and did finish a lot of people, but it almost seems kind of like if your gas take is better and your technique is better and your movement is good and you can keep on popping and piece him up, you can win and but I know you like to finish. Do you go into a fight with a guy like Derek Lewis saying, I would like for this guy to be another finish, or do you say to yourself, doesn't really bother me, if I outpoint this guy, or what's your thought on that? And if you're visualizing it, what are you?
If I can finish Derek Lewis, that'd be great. I'd, join a very exclusive club in claiming a Derek Lewis finish. But every time I go in there to fight, I don't look for a finish. I just look to implement what I'm going to do. I just like putting my hands on people. I like touching people with my fists, and if they can withstand it, they can withstand it, and we'll see how good they can withstand it for whether it's 15 minutes or 25 minutes. But as we've seen in the past, no one has really been able to withstand that, especially in the UFC. So I tend to believe that once I start touching Derek Lewis, I'll be able to see his big shots coming and make the proper necessary adjustments during the fight to be able to get a finish.
That would be awesome. And that is December 11th, right?
December 18th.
18th. There we go. And is the location set for that? Is that a T-Mobile or the Apex or what?
As far as I know, it's in Vegas. I believe it is at the Apex. I haven't been told as far as T-Mobile Arena. So gotcha. It's not a pay-per-view. So it's just a regular fight night. I'm super excited to be main eventing that.
That is awesome. Will this be your first main event?
First main event in the UFC, yes. Not main event, I main
Right.
evented a couple of regional shows,
Mhm.
but I've trained for 5-round fights and for title fights, and I have it down to a science, and I'll be ready to go come December 18th.
Excellent. That is going to be awesome. I'm sure you'll have. Now, I was going to say, I'm sure you'll have a lot of people there, but they're not allowing a lot of people in the Apex. Maybe you've heard
Yeah.
something more than I have. Is it something like random people can come if they pay $1,000 for a seat, or what have you heard for going to the Apex?
From everything I've heard about the Apex is they have the VIP tickets, and I think that's the only kind of tickets that you can purchase.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly how the UFC VIP experience that they're pushing, how much that costs. But that, as far as I know, that those are the only tickets that they're selling for that, because you get I think it's catered food, drinks.
Right.
You get access into the back and pictures taken and stuff like that. So I think that's how that is going to be playing out.
It's unfortunate because for all of us, not just friends in Philly, but for working class people to come up with that money for that, even to support one of their boys, is a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah. It would be awesome to get that crowd and have everyone screaming for me and know that it's actually people from Philadelphia. That would be phenomenal. But the world we live in, this is the sacrifices that we have to make.
Yeah.
So once everything starts opening back up, and maybe I get another main event spot at a T-Mobile Arena or a pay-per-view spot on a main card, I'll gladly have people flying out to the T-Mobile Arena. That'd be great.
Absolutely. I definitely see that in your future. Speaking of which, are you and your brother planning on keeping your day jobs for a long time, or are you about done with it, or may I ask?
Oh, nah, we're done. My brother's full-time fighter, so he would just pick up little odd jobs here and there if he ever needed some extra cash. And me, I'm leaving the police department pretty soon, so yeah, it's just all being a police officer is done with, and all MMA. So
nice.
it's going to be fun.
That's awesome. Question also from our correspondent Francesca Dominique: during your stay in the police force, did you find being a martial artist have a really positive effect on just how you dealt with the community, or your peace of mind when going out there and doing that dangerous job? And did you get a chance to help teach tactics and anything like that to your fellow officers?
All right, so I couldn't teach any tactics to any of the cops I worked with. That has to go through a chain of command, and you have to be certified through the state and all this stuff. So I would actually have to switch from where I worked and go up to the police academy so that we could train the new recruits.
Right.
But yeah, just having that peace of mind that if a physical confrontation happened, I'm comfortable in my skill set and being able to make sure that no one got hurt there. They teach you defensive tactics in the police academy, but it's always good to have extra defensive tactics. Just especially with jiu-jitsu now, and seeing how I think the Gracies are doing a lot of stuff with the police departments out in California, and it's really helped a lot of the interactions with police out there. And I think it's a really good thing. I think all cops should be taking some sort of jiu-jitsu, maybe become like a blue belt, purple belt. So excuse me. I really think that played a key factor, not just in my own peace of mind, but the people that I worked with too. Like if we ever got into a physical altercation, that they would know that they wouldn't have to worry about me. They would just have to worry about themselves, and it helped out a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. I remember years ago, and obviously the police are just trying to get home at the end of the day. No one wants to get into an altercation. No one wants to hurt anyone. But I remember years ago when I was a kid, they finally put in a law prohibiting any kind of, as we know it today, like rear naked choke, or calling it like a sleeper hold. And I remember thinking that obviously, for people that don't know, as long as you can let go of a choke in less than a minute or two, you're not going to really inflict tremendous damage, especially if you can let go of a choke within a few seconds. But I remember thinking that by taking that out of the arsenal, it stops a police officer from really diffusing a situation as quickly as they could. Because if you could just put someone in a chokehold, choke them out, let go, put them gently on the grass, it seems like you could, there could be a lot more situations diffused without injuries, but apparently you just can't do that. Or is it different in Philly? And what's your thought on that? Not to get super political, but I just think to not hurt someone,
you're fine. Yeah. So yeah, Philadelphia obviously it doesn't allow any sort of chokeholds or anything like that, and I think that's pretty much the standard operating procedure for all police departments across the country now. They just see that the risk reward is just too great. Obviously, with people's lives at stake, you get a little. Someone who you taught someone how to do something for 8 months, and then all of a sudden they're out on the street in a life or death situation, and what someone thinks they only held onto a choke for 10 to 15 seconds turns out to be 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And, if they're by themselves and it's a whole big thing, and then it's a whole, we're back to, we shouldn't be teaching people how to choke each other. So, whatever the police department decides, wherever I'm working or where I was working, I'm totally fine with that. If you have to get into, this is what I used to tell like a lot of like the rookies that I worked with, like my district that I worked in, we would get a lot of the rookies because it's a fast district. It's a violent district. And those are the districts that you find out whether or not you really want to be a cop. If you are running from call to call with people shot, people robbed, that's the type of, you're going to find out if this is what I want to do or if this isn't what I want to do. So, if you have to put your hands on someone, something went wrong, whether that's the way that, you approach that person, or if it was that kind of situation that it's just, sometimes you go into situations and you have to do that. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if every situation that you get into, you end up putting hands on people, you probably should look at how you're handling situations, because obviously it's not a good way.
Yeah, without a doubt. I agree. And we're very well stated. Yeah. I remember also, I think in the 80s, people were putting people in a rear naked choke or a guillotine choke, and then dropping them when they were unconscious right on the cement.
Yeah.
And
it's not good.
That's not good. But I think if police were taught to absolutely not do that, then it's something that could be used efficiently. But anyway, you're going to be saying goodbye to your day job and be able to focus more on your UFC career, and that's awesome. You've done amazing doing a full-time job and still coming up winning like you have. I can imagine you'll only be better not having to do your full-time job, and that's got to be an exciting prospect.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've been looking forward to since I started this, to see how I fare doing that, and I'm really excited to see what this next fight, what my skill set has, how far my skill set has increased for this next fight, because I feel like it's definitely going leaps and bounds. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, it's going to be exciting, and can't wait to see it. So let me get your opinion on a few fights. I won't keep you too much longer.
Okay.
Actually, maybe about 10 minutes, if that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I really appreciate it, Chris. So we look at the odds on your fight. I wonder if my producer, Dr. Adam Roorda, can see the odds on the December 18th fight that you're in. Let's take a look really quick. And it's going down, and there it is. Okay, so they have you as a slight favorite in all the sports books. You're anywhere from -120 to -136. Are you familiar with what that means? Do you follow the betting and lines, or not really?
A little bit here and there, but I know that you're going to have to spend at least that much money to make $100 on me. So I find it a little disrespectful just to Derek Lewis, just because of who Derek is. So yeah.
So you would have thought it would have been more even money, or maybe him a slight favorite. You would have thought.
Yeah, just because it's Derek Lewis.
That's true.
The number 3 guy in the world.
Yeah,
I'm just some dude who's now 4-0 in the UFC, main eventing, and I kind of think that it's a little disrespectful on their part. I mean, give Derek Lewis, my man, some props.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool. That's cool for you to say. Probably the bettors, because I learned that a lot of times the handicappers want to put out a line that they feel will get action on both sides, right? So, but they still try to err on the way, or lean toward the way that they feel it's going to go. But there definitely probably will be some betting when people are looking and saying, hey, I could get Derek as a dog here against kind of a newer fighter, Chris Daukus, right? So those fights, those odds could change. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be some movement, and a lot of it also makes a lot of gamblers interested, because they want to do what you call beating the line, right? Like,
Okay.
right, if someone thinks that Lewis is going to win, they would want to, they would think that they should jump on it now, because when the late money comes in on Lewis and then he's the favorite, they can say, I got Lewis as a slight dog. How about that? They beat the line, right? And, you know, then right on the flip side of it, the people that really believe in you are probably going to wait, because they're going to say, that late money's coming on Lewis. I can get Chris Daukus where I don't have to bet $130 to win 100. I can bet $75 to win 100. So, you know, but because of that, both camps are going to be waiting, I think, until like the last day or two. So you're going to see probably
exciting.
It will, because there's going to be a lot of movement in that line. So 5 rounds. Have you ever gone or been scheduled for 5 rounds? I know not in your UFC career, but anywhere else?
Yes, not in my UFC career, but in regional promotions, I've been scheduled to fight for the belt numerous times, and I was always preparing for 5-round fights. Never went 5 rounds, but I was definitely preparing 5 rounds. So it's nothing new to me. If it actually goes 5 rounds, that'll be something new. I don't want it to go 5 rounds.
Right.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that it doesn't go to 5 rounds, and I'm pretty sure that Derek's going to be doing the same thing.
Absolutely. So I know your brother probably helps you, and you help him with most camps, but you got to have probably some bigger bodies in there. Is it a secret, or can you tell us who might be helping you for this camp?
No, So, we have big bodies. Patrick Brady, who is an amateur. He's going to be making his pro debut pretty soon. Ryan Appleby, collegiate wrestler, really big guy, really, really good, helping me with my wrestling, my takedown offense and defense. He's also an amateur. He's actually fighting this weekend. Cool. So, and then we have John. Who else do we have? Ole, who's really good with jiu-jitsu. John is more of like a boxing, kickboxing guy. Really big guys. Kale, he's my buddy who's like big on Muay Thai. So yeah, we have a really good core group of guys, and then we have the Hill brothers, who are just like me and my brother, bigger guys, really good with jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go wherever this fight goes, and any fights in the future.
Very cool. And is this all at Martinez BJJ? Because I see Sherdog has it down as Balance, Team Balance. Is that the thing you've heard?
No, definitely not Team Balance. All Martinez BJJ for us. So yeah.
Nice. So you probably heard the people say, well, man, Chris is killing it here, but what if he could be at AKA, or what if he could be at American Top Team, or what if he could be at Sanford MMA or Factory X or something? Have you heard the talk? Have you had anybody you know from those camps saying, hey, if you want to jump out here, and is it tempting, or what do you think?
Nah, it's not tempting at all. People bring that up all the time about how, we're like a little small hole in the wall gym, and, there's no, big guys, and we're not a part of the super camp, but I'm perfectly fine. And as you can see, me and my brother are perfectly fine with making it to the elite levels of the UFC. So with, local dudes who grew up around the gym. So I'm not going anywhere, and I don't think my brother's going anywhere either. So
nice.
We wouldn't change it for the world.
That's awesome. And that's right in Philly, is it? Martinez BJJ.
Yep. Yeah, awesome. Right in the heart of Northeast Philly.
Very cool. Who were your Philly favorite MMA fighters coming up? The one that stands out to me, probably Eddie Alvarez.
Hey, who? I'm sorry?
Eddie Alvarez, probably?
Yeah, definitely Eddie, obviously. And then, all the guys that are fighting for Philadelphia now. I mean, it's really become truly like an MMA city. We were a boxing city. But I really think that the transition is now going to MMA. All the OGs that were fighting up in Philly and Bellator, my head coach, Will Martinez, his brother, Jesus Martinez, obviously Zach McCoskey, Steve Haig, all the guys who were at Fight Factory, the original, MMA gym in Philadelphia where Eddie Alvarez came from. Mm-hmm. So all those guys, those are really my favorite fights to look back on. And then obviously the new breed of guys, myself, my brother, and then, like Sean Brady, Paul Felder. I don't know if he's making a comeback or not, so we'll see what Paul does. Pat Sabatini and all those guys. So it's really exciting right now in the city of Philadelphia and MMA.
Absolutely, it's definitely a fighting city, you know, and they got to be happy with what you're doing. All right, I think we've got about 7 more minutes, so let me get your opinion on some stuff. All right, appreciate it. The fight from this past weekend, Paulo Costa against. I'm sure your brother had strong opinions in this is his division, and he's cutting weight. But what do you think? I'm sure something like this makes you glad that you're not in any division where you're cutting weight, but that had to be one of the craziest things, because I've interviewed Paulo Costa in person twice, and English is not his first language, but he's not a dumb guy. He's a fairly intelligent guy, and it's odd how he showed up in the press conferences saying that this fight was never scheduled for any weight, and that he's not changing any circumstances, and he doesn't know why anyone's giving him a hard time. That just was kind of odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a little weird. You know, I think Paulo knew that he was going to miss weight. I think he obviously took a different approach to how he was going to handle the situation. He pretty much tried to put the blame on Marvin, as far as if the fight didn't happen, it's Marvin's fault.
Right.
You know, I'm here. You know, Paulo was like, I'm here. I'm ready to go. It's his fault. He doesn't want to fight me at 205 or 195 or whatever the weight was.
Right.
But, you know, like you were saying, Costa's not dumb. We all sign contracts to fight, and on the contract it tells you a weight.
Right.
I've never seen a fight contract that didn't have a weight.
No.
Like even heavyweights, they have a weight.
Right.
So
266.
it's just a little strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
It was odd, but what was interesting was with 2 days' notice, he told the Vettori camp, and you know it's interesting because Vettori is 28 years old, young guy. I know you and your brother are not that much older than that. But you almost think to yourself, man, probably 80% of guys in their camps, if in Vettori's position, would have said maybe on the 195, but probably would have said no on the 205. You know, it almost like the risk he put, you know, there. But you know what? I think also he wanted the paycheck. That's something that also people don't think of, is that it's not like if Vettori had said no, that the UFC would have said, well, here's your show money. They might have, but then they wouldn't have given him his win money for sure. You know?
Definitely not. Yeah. Definitely not. And I also think that was part of Costa's plan. He knows that Marvin is a fighter. Marvin's a really he's a gritty fighter, and he likes to fight. And I think that they played into that. He'll fight us no matter what. Yeah. So I think that's just, you know, like, again, it was all part of Costa's plan, whether it was Costa or his management team or whoever the team behind it was. I think that was, you know, hey, listen, if we have an injury and we're not going to make weight, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start blaming Marvin, like, he's the reason why this fight didn't happen. You know, don't worry about the weight, and then, you know, play right in those hands. But clearly, Paulo lost. So
yeah, exactly. And one of the things that was interesting was then after the fight, Costa said the reason for the weight issue was a torn bicep. Doesn't that seem odd? That's one of the smaller muscles in your body. I understand if it was a bodybuilding show, you might have to say this has ruined my chance to have great symmetry here. But would that have stopped you from maintaining your weight or anything like that, do you think, and doing cardio?
No, definitely. No, I mean, you can always run. You know, I know that he had surgery on a torn bicep before. I don't know if it was the same bicep. But, like, did he have surgery in camp that no one knew about? And he, like, you know, like, because he showed up and he fought.
He fought great,
I wasn't checking his... Yeah, he fought great. He was throwing hooks, like it was nothing. He was throwing high kicks. You know, like, it didn't look like he was injured.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of, like, what he does in a fight camp to lose weight as far as like his workouts, but I mean, his fat ass could have just got outside and just started running. I mean, like, that's what 95% of people do. So I don't know what he does as far as, like, how he's going to lose weight, but like, you know, I think it's just excuses. I think he might need the money, and he's just looking to take fights, and he doesn't want to do the hard part of training camp, of making weight and all that. He just wants to go out there and fight. So
So question for you. They're saying now he has to fight at 205. You, as a heavyweight, they maybe never had this talk with you, but do you know, is there something in the UFC rules that will say, if you, maybe you heard from Kyle's experience, that says if you miss weight like twice, you're forced to go up? What, is there a rule on that, do you think?
No, no, no. As far as I know, I don't think so. I just think it's the UFC, saving the product, the product as far as like a show. Like they're not going to build a show around Costa again. I don't think at 185,
right?
For these reasons, he could, hats off to Marvin who actually took the fight. Marvin could have said, no, I'm going to weigh in at 185,
right.
What the contract says.
Right.
I'm going to get half my money and I'm going to go home and, screw this card. And,
yeah.
So I think that, the UFC is just protecting itself and protecting, future events so this doesn't happen. And they're saying, hey, listen, we can't be taking any more chances on you. You're just going to be fighting at 205 from now on.
Absolutely. Any prediction can Costa do anything at 205 with anyone else?
He hits hard. He looked good. I give it to him. He looked okay at 205. He looked okay. I think he's in the same exact spot at 185 as he is at 205. He's right at the top of the division. But I think that Jan hits a little harder than him, and I don't think that. Yeah, and I think Glover hits harder than him too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And at 6 feet even, he'd be a little undersized for 205. Yeah. So actually, we got like 2 minutes left. So speaking about 205, okay. Glover and Jan, the weight division right below yours. The weight division, some people feel you could possibly own even more than you own the heavyweight division. I'd like to hear your thought maybe briefly after you answer this question. Jan against Glover, give me maybe 30 seconds on how you think that fight plays out, or maybe one of two ways that it could play out, and then a prediction if you can give one.
I just think that Jan's going to win. I think Jan is just the better fighter. Glover is extremely dangerous, especially in boxing, and he's got heavy ground and pound. Like he gets on top, dudes can't get him off. I just think that Jan is obviously the younger fighter, and I think he's going to use that to his advantage. He's been in there with a lot of good guys, especially Izzy recently, and I think he's just going to pick Glover apart on the outside, and I think he'll finish him. So yeah.
Could very well be. So how about you? What if the money was there and the UFC said, Chris, we'll give you like a title shot after one win or something like that? Yeah. What is it possible?
Absolutely.
205.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely possible. I'm not I like to think my diet is strict, but I would have my brother help me out and maybe hire another nutritionist. I walk around, like I said, like 235, 240. And guys cut from 230 to 335 to make 205. So, I would just have to change up a certain, little tweaks here and there. I just want to do what I have to do at heavyweight, become champ at heavyweight. And then, if the money's right and the fight's right, I'll move down to 205 and I'll take on whoever they want to put in front of me.
I love it because, one man I think has done that before. Do you remember his name?
Randy Couture.
Yeah,
right?
That is it. You got it. I like
Randy
that.
Couture.
I like a man who knows the past, because when he was fighting, I think you were not even legal to drink, I think, when Couture was fighting.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely
So, but yeah, that would be amazing. That would be really cool, and it'd be interesting to see. But you got a lot of options in front of you, and can't wait to see him, man. And I really appreciate you coming on, man. Always great to talk to you.
Course.
December 18th is going to be amazing, and really look forward to it. I believe in you, man. Like I say, we got to be impartial, but I appreciate my guests, and you're welcome. And I'm a Midwest guy, Michigan, leaning to the East. Always like my friends from Philly. So, man, I think you can do it. Keep making yourself the best you can be. Keep the great attitude. Congrats on being able to do fighting full time, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And,
thanks, man.
Yeah, really appreciate you, man. Say hello to your brother. We're happy to talk to him again anytime as well. I'll hit him up directly, and look forward to some more wins from the Daukus brothers to finish out this year.
Absolutely, and thank you for all the kind words, and obviously thank you for the awesome platform to be able to come on here. So thanks again, man.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. My pleasure.
All right, brother.
Have a great one, brother. Take care.
Same to you, man. Later.
Later. Peace. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we were not able to get a visual.
So we've got a picture of Colin up, and we're going to be having that here again. Both of our cameras actually went out, which is a little annoying. Neither one of them is working, our backup camera or the actual camera, which is telling me that we have some connection issues. But the most beautiful part about all of this is we are actually getting into a new studio next week. So Colin, let me fix this here real quick, because I've got to add this image to the other
side. Yep, absolutely. No problem. And man, I love that picture of me from 2017. I don't know what happened in four years, but then I still look pretty good. But man, oh man, 4 years, I guess, as you get a little older, does mean a little something. But then again, if I lose weight now, I'd have to get some sort of a facelift or something like that, I think. But anyway, the great picture though, we can still use it, right? As long as I don't use it for any dating services to mislead anyone, it's okay, right?
I mean, you still could.
No, I'm not dating anyway, so I got a girl. So anyway, though, but yeah,
well, that's true.
Yeah, no deceptiveness with dating. Use recent pictures, everybody, on both sides, the men and the women. Like it's not my business, but whatever. Anyway, go Brandon. You know. Brandon. Okay, so we are ready as soon as Dr. Adam Roorda gets
let's give him a call and see what we can do here.
Let's do it, man. Let me get a drink while we're doing it.
No Skype dance going because he is not online.
Okay, let me let his manager know. All right. Let me see. And right.
Make sure that's the right one. So chatted over a year ago. Chatted over a year ago. Chatted over a year ago.
Right. Should I wait before I contact her to make sure it's the right one?
I mean, it's the right one from what I can see.
Okay. I'll see maybe if she can have him Skype us. Just tried Derek and didn't get any response. It doesn't look like he's on Skype, period. If he could Skype call us, that would be great. Or if he could jump on, that would be awesome. Remember, we are at, and then I will type that in so I don't dictate that.
Mr. Dictation, that is Colin Crandall. So those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the second time, third time, this is your 251st time, which I believe we're on about 253 episodes. Yeah, make sure to give us a like, comment, share. I know our tech is a little wonky today, but we are getting that fixed here next week by just moving into a brand new studio. Everything is brand new and kept up. Amazing background, which will be, you'll still see our cool graphics going on, but as far as the actual background, it will be more of a true studio setting. You'll be able to see Colin and myself here actually sitting in chairs.
How sweet is that? And you hardly see that. I guess you see that on some podcasts, but still not as sharp as it's going to look for us. And this is more of a real talk show, or more like the look and vibe will be more like just trying to think hotboxing. Yes,
something similar to that.
Yes, exactly. And all we got to do is connect with Mike Tyson to get some weed.
Be careful there with the mic.
That's right, with the mic. All we got to do is connect with Mike Tyson and get some weed in here, and we can make it.
Why do we need to do that?
Well, because then it'd be like the real hot boxing, isn't it? Or is
why do we need to get a hold of?
Oh, that's right. We don't need to. We have
Tommy Chong's cannabis.
Cannabis. That's right, man. Well, we may do that, but I don't know. We don't want to seem like we're ripping off Mike Tyson or anything like that with the thought of the hot boxing, hot MMA. I don't know. We could we? Maybe we get. Maybe we get Mike's blessing. We get Mike's blessing. We might do that, but we'll think about it.
Well, I have a reason to reach out to him in reference to that same cannabis line. So, hey,
reach out and touch someone, man.
How to do it. I have their information. So,
yep, that was the phone company. That used to be, you guys who have grown up, the Xennials here, the Generation Z, and some of the younger millennials, you guys that have grown up in the modern era don't know how crazy it was when there was one phone company. You had a landline and you had one choice. It was AT&T pretty much for everything. And their philosophy was, if you don't like us, then take a cup, put a hole in it, stretch some sort of pipe out, put a cup at the other end, and then you can talk to your friends who are in the other room in your house or apartment. But if you want to talk to someone long distance, good luck. That was pretty much what the philosophy was. It was good luck and, STFU. We're the phone company. Don't complain.
Yeah, we're the phone company. Never complain. Come on.
Yeah, it was like, you guys know that already. There's one choice. Just like they used to say in the Model T back in the 20s, 30s or something. They came up with a philosophy that said you could have the Model T in absolutely any color you want as long as it's black. That was the choice.
Any color you want as long as it's black.
Yep.
Well, hey,
Yep.
All right, Colin, let's go over the fights coming up here tomorrow night. Actually, it would probably be the best ones to hit up first, because we've got $3 million fights. We got Kayla Harrison against
six. Apparently there's 6. Apparently all the fights on there, or at least almost all, are 6. I think the top 6: Julia Budd against Caitlin Young is not, and I think Jordan Young is not. But I believe that the top 6 are. That one is not. But I think, yeah, all the other ones are. 6 championships at stake. 6 $1 million paydays for the winner are at stake. I guess we're going to go back as soon as we can to try Derek. Hopefully we'll get word from his manager. But I guess let's jump into this for now. And I would imagine and hopefully that we will have Derek Brunson. We did get assurance that he would be on last week, and something did come up. He apologized, and we had absolute confirmation, reconfirmation, and reassurance from management of Derek Brunson even today that he will be on starting 5 minutes ago. So this should hopefully be resolved any minute, and we'll try again, or hopefully we want to try again now. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if there's any ringing. Just keep going. So we've got 6 fights.
Right. So 6 $1 million fights. Let's start with maybe the least well-known, and it is Martine, I think it's pronounced Martine, Hamlet against Antonio Carlos Jr. Well, if you're a fan of Shakespeare, you got to go Hamlet, right? But not everyone is a fan of William Shakespeare. But if you are, then you're going for the dog, because the man they call Shoeface. And wait, is that? Yeah, it would be. Man, a guy who loses, I think, his last 3 or 4 fights in the UFC to end up losing his contract, is fighting for $1 million in the PFL. God bless him, and he's a tough guy. He always was a rugged, tough guy. But that is a surprise. I did not know that. I got to keep more up on my PFL. I usually am with the higher profile fights, but did not know that Antonio Carlos Jr. would get it was unlikely. I don't think he was a favorite in any of these last few fights. But nevertheless, he made it to the finals, and he is going to go up against Hamlet. And Hamlet is from, I think, Denmark or something like that. That is an interesting fight. While I'm talking, maybe Dr. Adam Roorda can pull up one of their files, because then we can triangulate.
Oh yeah, neither one of them is allowing me here.
Then right there.
I know. Perfect. I got to go this way. So
all right, let's take a look at Carlos Jr. So Shoeface, the man they call Shoeface, or Cara di Sapato, is that it? I think. Cara di Sapato, and that is Antonio Shoeface Carlos. Yeah. So in the PFL, he's been killing it. 1 no contest against Vinny Magalhaes, his countryman, and then he beat Tom Lawler and he beat Emiliano Sordi to be fighting for $1 million. His last 3 UFC fights, he lost 3 in a row, and at 31 years old, I think he is, he's really reinvented himself. 31, yeah. And he's going up against Martine Hamlet, and let's take a look at Mr. Hamlet. Is from Norway. I was close. I said Denmark. And he had a loss to Corey Hendricks in the PFL. He got choked out, and he's going up against, I think, either a brown or black belt in Antonio Carlos. He lost to Modestas Bukauskas over there in Cage Warriors. He's 2-1 in the PFL. Not super experienced guys at a really high level. Scratch that. Shoeface, very experienced at the high level, but wasn't really doing a ton of winning in the UFC, but was doing some winning. That's a tough one. I don't know who to call in that one, but it'd be amazing if Shoeface Antonio Carlos won. All power to him. Then we have Movlid Kebulaev against Chris Wade. Chris Wade beating Bubba Jenkins, and that was a tough fight, but Wade coming down from lightweight and now fighting at featherweight is just a big featherweight, a good wrestler, tough guy out of Long Island, New York, 34 years old, and to go down a little bit on his record, 20-6, if we hammer down a little bit, Dr. Adam Roorda on the scroll. There we go, coming off 3 wins, Antonio Dizzy, Arman Aspenov, and Bubba Jenkins. He is killing it in the PFL. I think he's like 5-1 or 6-1 or 7-1. And he, and then one of his losses was really close to Natan Schulte, and then he had another loss against Schulte. Anyway,
9-2.
Very tough guy. Yeah, 9-2 recently in the PFL.
Sorry, 8-2.
8-2. So he is killing it. He is the dog, though, because this Kebulaev, I think, is a Dagestan wrestler. Yes, he is. Yep. Another 18-0. man, Habib's relatives are everywhere. At least these Dagestani guys. I'm sure this guy's no relation, although he might be. But man, are these guys beasts. Holy moly. It's like virtually everyone from there is just a killer.
A lot of them are probably training with him.
Yeah, for sure. I would bet, yeah, a lot of them train with each other, with Habib and Makhachev and all these guys. Wowie. Yeah. He had a majority draw against Andre Harrison, who was a tough guy, but everyone else he's just been beating. Decisions lately, though. No contest against Daniel Pineda, and then he beat some tough guys, Lance Palmer, Brendan Loughnane, a double tough guy. That was a hard fight. This is a really good fight. How tall is Khaibulaev? 5'6". So Brenton, Wade is going to be taller. Wade is probably again going to be the bigger man in this fight. This is going to be rough because you got the man who may be slightly bigger, but that just doesn't seem like any American wrestling is hanging with that Dagestani wrestling. And so you have the bigger guy going up against arguably the better grappler.
Yeah, I think the bigger guy has an advantage in this one. It's the right weight class for that weight to make all the difference.
It really could, and he looked amazing against Bubba Jenkins, just so big and strong. And who's the favorite? Khaibulaev, slight favorite there, I think. But Wade is live. I would agree with you. Yeah, Wade is live, a live dog. And I think we're both leaning Wade here.
I am leaning Wade.
I think it's very possible. Let's see if we got any response from the manager.
He's not on right now. So
okay, and I'm gonna try again here and see. Okay, because that would be very, very disappointing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I wonder if I should try to message him on some social media or something like that.
I mean, no, not really.
Because this, I mean, and the bottom line is, regardless of whatever happens, guys, you'll never see me and Adam trying to curse out or trying to denigrate any of our fighter guests that don't show up, because we respect them. We're MMA media. These are high-level MMA fighters. We appreciate them. Nothing but love for Derek Brunson. It's just really frustrating because, like I said, we don't just get a gentle maybe when we put out a guest
right
as being scheduled on our show. We only put out that someone is going to be a guest on our show when we have a firm commitment and assurance from either them, or if they're represented, them, their management company, both. And that's what we
Hey, it is what it is, my man. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. So next $1 million fight. You
Yep.
want to go back to the next $1 million fight? $1 million movie. That used to be a big thing years ago. Okay, and the next one is Bruno Enrique Capalosa against Ante Delega. And which record is this? This is Capalosa, right? Capalosa from Brazil, as Lenny Hart would say. 6'2", 236 pounds on a 3-fight win streak. Oh, he beat Ante Delega just, a year ago? Less than a year ago. May 6th they fought, and he stopped Delega in 46 seconds.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah, but Delega's a tough dude. Where's he from? Again, Croatia. And Delega, coming off that loss, has had 2 wins where he looked really good. He wants to run this one back. He doesn't plan to get stopped in 46 seconds. Wow, 6'5", 245, tall guy, Delega. What are the odds? I mean, they got to have it huge in favor of Capalosa, the man he beat in 46. Not that huge. Just 2-1. So a lot of people would say, hell yeah, if he knocked him out in 46 seconds, he'll do it again. That's not necessarily true. I notice in boxing that tends to happen more, but it also happens more when someone has kind of had a sustained beating or a dominating fight where they've won all aspects of the matchup. And like this, getting caught is so hard to say. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I probably would go with the favorite there, although you really don't know. I don't know those two guys well enough. Then we have this fight will not be $1 million.
No, it will not be.
But anyway, nevertheless, it's a fight. Clarissa Shields.
Yes, it is a fight.
Michigan girl from Flint, Michigan. I'm from Ann Arbor, right next door originally. Going up against undefeated Abigail Montes. And Montes is 2-0, 5'4". Small, shorter, featherweight, but she's got 2 wins, and 1 in Combate Americas and 1 in IFF6. Before you show me the odds, that's just Team Grasso, though. She's out of Mexico. She's training with Alexa Grasso and Irene Aldana. That is serious. Those women are tough as nails. Still, though, the odds are going to have, I thought the odds were going to make it a crush here. but they're not really. It is a solid 3-1 in favor of Shields. But, well, you know what?
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there. Abigail is training out of Guadalajara, and that is a boxing community.
And her team, Team Grasso.
Yes.
Look at the hands of Alexa Grasso and Irene Aldana. They're killers.
Yeah,
but then again,
I actually met Abigail down at the fight that I worked.
Oh, wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that. Did she have her red hair like that? Is that how you recognize her?
Yes.
Nice. That's super cool. The key problem is this. That sounds like she's a striker, and you're looking at a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, possibly the best boxing female in history. And it's kind of like if you're a woman and you're going to say, I'll tell you what, why don't I just throw hands with Clarissa Shields? That's usually all bad. That's usually all bad, no matter which way you slice it. But because of the fact that maybe she does have some grappling, because the women, Grasso's used her grappling more than Irene Aldana.
Let's check this out.
They both know some grappling.
Gotta check this
But
out.
then Clarissa's been practicing. She got a chance to show her grappling in that first fight as well, where she did beat sorry, with all respect, I forgot her opponent's name, of a tough jiu-jitsu girl. So
yeah, I'm not seeing anything for Abigail besides.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll tell you what. How old is Montez? She's really young, isn't she? Like 25 or 24? 21. Because I was gonna say if she was like 25 or 6, then maybe she's been training with Team Grasso for 4 or 5 years, right?
Well, and who knows? Maybe she has been.
Well, I guess since she was 15 or 16, maybe. Damn, I mean.
That's something we need to look into, see why those odds are so close. There's a reason for it.
Because you think it'd be a crush. You think it'd be a crush. You think it was going to be minus 1,500. Because you know why I think it isn't? Is because the respect of Team Grasso, the respect that people have for Team Grasso, and the fact that she maybe has better grappling than Clarissa, because Clarissa's literally training grappling for 1.5 years. That's about it. So, but with this girl being only 21, I mean, but you're right. Maybe she joined the gym at 15. I don't know. The bottom line is she's really young. I mean, so what's going to happen is late money is going to come on Shields, I'm pretty sure. So if people want to bet Shields, I would say you might want to do it right now because she's minus 300, minus 320. I wouldn't be surprised if Shields ends up being minus 500, minus 600 on fight day.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. That doesn't make sense to me. I just think they have it off and they're trying to draw money to that fight.
They want to get people, yeah, right. Okay, then the co-main event, the man we had on our show from Hawaii, Brada Boy, Ray Cooper III. He's amazing. In his corner is our guest from last week, Kai Kamaka. Actually, he may or may not be in his corner literally, but they're training partners as well as other great Hawaiian fighters. And he is a killer second-generation MMA fighter. And he has an almost perfect record in the PFL, but he did lose to Magomed Karamov. That's who his opponent is here, right? I believe.
He's also lost against John Howard.
And John Howard, right? But the man he's fighting, he lost to 2 years ago. Show me if it was 2 years ago or if it was 3 years ago. I think it might have been
about 3.
2.5, just about 2. No, 3. Yeah, it was. Yep. Oh, yeah, nearly 3 years ago by submission. So, and he's not
second round.
Yeah.
Second round. I mean, to me, that it's been long enough. First off, and it was second
3 years
round.
gives you a chance to shore up your. And not only that, how old is
and then Boy? He. Well, hold on a second, because he bounced back from that 6 months later and submitted somebody in a rear naked choke, not too far off. So his ground game improved after that.
I think that was a case of youth. In fact, he's only 28 now. He was 25 then. I think he didn't have his full man strength. He didn't have his full technique. He was still relatively inexperienced. And I think this is a way more mature and skilled Ray Cooper III. Odds makers are saying what? They probably have Magomed Karamov slight favorite, or do they have Cooper? Magomed, wow, good money, almost 2-1. I'm on the dog there, man. I think Ray Cooper does it, because I think if Ray Cooper can hold off the grappling, he's got definitely better striking, I feel, than the Russian.
Right.
And so I think the Hawaiian, man, in fact, you know, a money-making parlay could be Cooper the third and Chris Wade. That would probably get you like $5 for every dollar you bet.
And I'm going to go with Jordan Young on that one too.
And Jordan Young is also on the card. Wow, that's a big dog against Akhmedov.
Well, I know it is, but if there's anybody that can pull that off, I feel strongly about Jordan. I always have. In fact, I remember trying to get him on the show a while back, but he's a solid fighter.
Yeah, definitely is. You know what I think I'm gonna try. I feel like trying to reach out directly to Derek Brunson, because it's just so damn frustrating. You know what I mean? I mean, we were guaranteed that this was not going to be a problem, and I really want to have, even though we still have Kayla and Taylor Guardado to discuss here in our breakdown, but I'm just going to look and see if he and I have a connection where I can call him. And no, it's just an MMA page. Well,
speaking of Jordan Young, facing Akhmedov,
yeah,
I'm just seeing this here. Akhmedov just had a loss against Brad Tavares, nothing to be ashamed of.
right.
Beat Tom Breeze, lost against Chris Weidman back right about a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Weidman, actually, Weidman, let's see, we might be able to get him on next week. We're trying. We're gonna see what happens there. See
that
if
could
we
be
can
pretty
get
cool.
something
He's a
going
great
with
legend. Let me
Absolutely
dictate this message. Hey Derek, we have an interview here scheduled by your managers, confirmed, and we've been trying to get a hold of you for about 20 minutes. If you're available, if you can Skype call us, that would be much appreciated.
I mean, the show's about over.
Yeah, I know that, but I really want him to fulfill his obligation here.
Yeah, it is what it is, Colin. It is what it is. Well, those of you tuning in, hanging out here with us, give us a like, comment, share. It's at MMA Power Hour. We do have a bunch of news floating around. We do have a website with news that's updated regularly. It's MMAPowerHour.com. Pretty simple, pretty basic. So if you're on Fight TV, head on over to the Hannibal TV on Facebook. If you're on the Hannibal TV checking us out, make sure to head on over to Fight TV. It's FITE.tv. Make sure to put in the search bar MMA Power Hour and follow our channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. And we really appreciate you, and we're all about entertaining and bringing you information. And I don't want to sound like a doofus here, but I'm sure you guys understand. I know my friend, fellow MMA media people understand.
They don't see you over here. I see your face right now. It's like, well, Colin,
I'm smiling big in the picture.
Yeah, he's smiling big in the picture, and over here his face is red and veins popping out the side of his neck.
Not quite that, but it's like, the
tearing his shirt off.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm doing a Hulk Hogan here, except with fat. Well, Hulk now has fat as well. But I guess what it is, just to put that to rest, and then we'll break down the main event. To put it to rest, we had a confirmed and guarantee a week ago. He doesn't show up. We had an apology conveyed by his managers and him that an emergency came up. We have direct contact with his managers only. Absolutely confirmed 3 days ago and reconfirmed that we would have Derek Brunson here starting at 7:25 p.m. and then we don't, and it sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed off.
Of course,
and because it's not.
It would be a lot more fun to have your face showing right now, but these cameras are not working either, so I'm pissed too.
It's almost like we got jinxed here. And then the frustrating thing is, we're texting the manager and not getting any response from his manager for the last
she's
20
probably
minutes.
scrambled and irritated too.
I
guarantee it. That's the life of a manager.
He's still a great fighter. Still never any hate on Derek Brunson, but it just is very frustrating because we got a commitment and we really deserved and were promised to have Derek Brunson here. and that promise was broken unless somehow he jumps in.
There you go, media. You know the name of the game, and we will just jump on into the Kayla Harrison
main event
versus Taylor Guardado. We kind of touched on it
tomorrow, and it's $6 million. The odds makers do feel that this is a crush fight. Unfortunately, minus 3,500. Wow, on some sites they have it at minus 5,000, and then they come back on Guardado. Man, there's like a big middle there on how much they're willing to pay out on both ends, isn't there? They really want to make money on the middle, because all they're willing to pay out on Guardado, right, is between plus 1,200 and plus 1,750, and then they're paying out.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, you hardly see these odds anyway, so I'm not an expert on the difference, the differentiation, or the between that. Maybe that's normal. I guess it just seems big to me as far as the difference in the comeback and the payouts. But nevertheless, if you believe in Kayla Harrison and you're willing to bet anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to win $100, then you may do that. Whereas if you believe in Taylor Guardado and you want to put down $20 or $10 and make $100 or $200 back, then you may do that as well.
I mean, do the math on that.
1,200 for 100, so it'd be like 120 back for $10.
Yep.
So 240. You're right. It'd be like $200 to $300 back for your $20 bet on Taylor Guardado. Taylor Guardado is a tough girl. She is a experienced wrestler and grappler. She's got some hands. I think she presents the toughest opponent grappling wise, and I think maybe the toughest opponent since Kayla went the decision twice, I think, with Marion Moraes, I believe it was. And so they're just not giving her a shot. I think a part of it is she has more fights as a featherweight than a lightweight, but if you looked at them facing off, I didn't think there was a huge size difference. Kayla's maybe 1.5 inches taller, but I mean, there could be like a 15-pound difference on fight day, and that is significant. And then based on them wearing the clothes they were wearing on the face-off stare-down before, because I didn't see, they probably have already had the actual official stare-down, so I'm talking about a press conference a month ago. Based on that, it didn't look like a big difference. I'm curious to see the weigh-ins, and then, I wonder if we've never done this. We could possibly pull up the stare-down face-off. Could we do that? Could we look at that quick so we could give our opinion real quick here, Adam?
Yeah, hold on just a second.
That'd be awesome, because then I will actually be able to tell you, because it should have been done, since the fight's tomorrow, probably it was done 4 hours ago, and it'll be just a YouTube search for, Harrison versus Guardado or PFL stare down. Or
look at that randomly working now.
Weigh-in face-offs. Nice. Now I'm back. Hey, welcome back. So now I wasn't making a face like this as far as Derek Brunson not being here. I wasn't doing that, I promise. I look like an ogre there. But my face was just like this. I was saying, truly disappointing, because we were promised and assured we would have Derek Brunson not only last week, but we were absolutely assured that he wouldn't miss it again this week. Do you want to try his Skype once more just for the heck of it, or you want?
No, there's not enough time.
Yeah, there isn't. It won't matter. Anyway, that's my face. But all right, so let's see. Let's take a look. Actually, so we can see. You don't even have to do the video. I always think of the video, but if you want to just do the photos from the stare downs, and it would be Harrison versus Guardado. There we go, to the left. Okay, so there we go, 3 hours ago. So yeah, there's some difference in size there, but not like huge, but it could end up being 12 pounds, maybe 15. But it doesn't look bizarre, right?
No, it doesn't look bizarre at all. In fact, it looks like probably closer in weight than most people.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that difference.
That was not her, though. That's not,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You're
Just
right.
look at that difference.
That's true. That's true.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, true. So it looks like it's 1.5 inches to 2 inches height difference in favor of Harrison. Harrison in this picture looks like she might be 7 or 8 or 10 pounds more. I can't gauge it. It might be 12. But I think Taylor's going to put up a fight. I think Taylor's going to, not only that, but what's it going to hurt you to put 10 or 20 bucks? I shouldn't say that, because if you put up 10 or 20 bucks and you don't have money to eat tomorrow, I can't send it to you by Venmo. So apologize. So I'm not telling anyone to bet if you can't afford it, but I think Taylor's going to give it a shot. She's only got 4 fights, almost 3 times as many fights for Kayla Harrison, and like we said, she's kind of a natural featherweight, although she's had a lightweight or a couple lightweight fights. I think she's going to make it a scrap, I really do. Could I be wrong? Yeah, I don't think she's going to be blown out of there in the first round, in the first minute or two. But Kayla is just a beast. So since we only have a couple.
Well, here's Taylor. Taylor is a beast, an absolute beast, and I think her coming in here, when you actually factor in her history in the amateur circuit,
she did have a lot of amateur wins. That's right, and exhibition and Invicta. So she's more than just a 4-1 fighter or 3-1 fighter. As a pro, she is, but she does, as Dr. Adam Roorda astutely pointed out here, she actually has.
As an amateur, her only loss was to Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. So you know what? She does have some good amateur experience and pro exhibition. So she actually has as many fights if you count her amateur.
I think this is the upset. This is going to be similar to. Really, I do see it being similar to the Nunes Cyborg type of upset.
Gotcha. Except this would be even a greater upset odds wise, even though that was a big upset.
A little bit, but not by much. If I remember correctly, it was wasn't it plus like 2,500?
I don't think so. No.
Or minus 2,500.
No, because remember, Nunes had been killing it at just one weight class lower. In fact, Nunes I think was the champion at one weight class lower. So no, I think that fight was maybe minus 400, minus 500 Cyborg. I don't think it was anywhere near this. That goes back a way back, but maybe 600. Some odds, some may have had it 600, but it wasn't anywhere near this, I mean, you know what? It's gonna be tough. I mean, the bottom line is if Taylor can just if Taylor's strength, if she can equalize on the strength, and if Kayla Harrison can't put her on her back, there's a chance. It's just the one thing is Taylor is, I think, more of a grappler than a striker. And if she had amazing hands as well as good grappling, then there would be a lot more to kind of bite on to assure a upset there. But you never know. She's going to go for it. She's a tough, gritty fighter. And does she have a nickname, Taylor Guardado? No mercy.
Yeah.
She's going to go in there. She's going to try to show no mercy to Kayla Harrison. They're both 30 years old, I think. Taylor's getting some great training over at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. And she's from Reno, so it's all in her home state. How old is Harrison? Can you go back to the triangulate and grab that? She's 31, so 1 year difference. They've got it listed as a 3-inch height difference. I don't see that. And Sherdog is frequently wrong. So I think Taylor Guardado's about 5'6". In fact, she even said that, whereas Sherdog has her at 5'5", and Harrison's listed as 5'8". Is an 1.5 or 2-inch height difference. ATT versus Extreme Couture, a good battle, especially years back.
Right.
That used to be a killer battle. Now, over the last several years, ATT has just been flourishing. Extreme Couture had a few years where they weren't really doing much, but now they are starting to come back, especially with UFC doing so many fights in Las Vegas. There's a lot of fighters jumping in and doing some training at Extreme Couture. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Anyway,
well, if she's getting any training from Randy, then himself, you know what?
Right.
This is going to be a matchup that really, and I can see it happening.
That'd be amazing.
Where that wrestling comes out and all of a sudden, boom, because it is MMA wrestling. And
right. And then there's Kayla's judo, but if you keep your hips lower, you can avoid the judo takedown.
Right.
But then Kayla's been mixing in some wrestling, but she's not like any sort of, D1 wrestler. So, yeah, if Guardado's wrestling can be good enough that she can shut down the takedown attempts, it could get interesting. It really could. But
that's what I'm thinking here. And when we had Taylor on, and she had me convinced.
Yeah,
really,
she's confident. I mean, the only thing that was a concern is when she said she really is kind of a natural featherweight, which would mean she probably walks around maybe in the high 150s or maybe 160, and so cutting to 145 is normal, whereas Kayla, I think, walks around at 170.
All right, well, gentlemen, ladies, boys, and girls, We appreciate you guys every single week tuning in. We do apologize for our last guest not showing 2 weeks in a row. In fact, we are very irritated. Press out there watching this, you know what to do. And everybody else, thank you so much. Give us love on all of our social media. It's at MMA Power Hour. Like, comment, tweet, retweet, share. All the engagement possible. You guys are amazing. Colin, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night for myself. And for this week, I am tapping out and handing it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Adam Roorda, for everything you do. It's amazing. The new studio, I can't wait for it, guys and girls. It's going to be a great look. Apologies that Derek Brunson didn't show up, and it is what it is. Thank you so much to Chris Daukus, UFC number 7 ranked heavyweight, only a month and a half ahead of his fight against Derek Brunson, and then a reverse order for also Jacob Stitch Duran. That's right, Stitch was first. Either way, bottom line, Stitch Duran, thank you so much, brother. Both of you guys are amazing and great interviews. Both really appreciate you guys, and that's about it. Spread the love in a positive way. Let people know you got their back. It is scary and hard times, all right? Take care of all your friends, your coworkers, even your neighbors, and your pets. Take good care of them. Unconditional love is what you get from them. They deserve love and fresh water and a cool place if it's hot and a warm place if it's cold, and it's cold lately. That's about it. Big love and respect to you for the entire team. Colin Crandall from the MMA Power here, and I am tapping out.